Hello and welcome to Local Edition. I'm Leslie Leyton. You might say the city of San Jacinto is living paycheck to paycheck, but that is relative good news because before they were in debt, things are beginning to look up. The mayor is here now to tell us about what's going on in the city. Welcome, Crystal Ruiz.
Nice to be here.
So glad you're here. Now you have zero deficit spending, and that, it's a tight line to walk, but at least it means that you're living responsibly. Your revenue is somewhat matching what you need to spend, but you're on a budget.
Yes, we are. Just like most of America, we're not overspending. We're not going out of our way to spend frivolously, that type of thing. It's very conservative.
Mm-hmm. For a lot of years, especially since 2008, a lot of cities suffering because of the recession. You had to make some serious cuts. You say that your budget is slim, not because you're overspending, but because there just isn't enough revenue. Tell us about your spending and how you've tightened that up.
Well, we did massive cuts, and when I came on in 2012, we asked the city staff to go ahead and start making these cuts because we wanted to be zero deficit spending. So they have been making cuts all along. They made additional cuts. We've cut our staff down to about 40 employees for 46,000 residents. That's 40 city employees. Mm-hmm. Then we turned around and we tried every other cut. Each department made cuts. Everybody was asked to cut in their own way. Then, once we knew that we made all the cuts that we could, then we started cutting the things that we knew we had to. We cut the parks. We closed 3 parks. We closed the community center. We closed the community pool. We let go of 5 deputies. We closed a fire station. We had 2, we closed 1. We continue to try and fight to get all the needed cuts to make it so that we were zero deficit spending without hurting the community, because that was imperative.
Oh, that's what I was wondering. How has the community felt these cuts? I mean, the pool being closed, that's not great in the middle of summer, but it's something you have to do to be a responsible leader.
Right, and I think that the major thing, the biggest concern for them was when we put the fences around the parks and the pool and the community center, when we closed that fire station. So that's where they really saw it. Otherwise, they didn't really see it out on the streets. Our deputies are really good. We have the San Jacinto Sheriff's Department that makes major cuts where they can, but they also take and they utilize the amount of dollars that they have in a way that's not going to show that they've cut a lot of bodies. So they're very, very good about being very conservative. They really help us out.
Well, a fence around a park, that is symbolic. I mean, not only you're shut out, you can see it. What's it going to take to move beyond opening the park, taking that fence down and making things flow a little more freely? If this were our home budget, we might get another part-time job. What does the city do?
Right, and so that's what we have to do. But actually what we've done is on July 1st, we actually were able to take down those the fences around the parks. Now the pool's still closed and the PAL program's still closed, but we actually got the fences down away from the parks. And what we did was we asked the staff to reach out when the tax measures failed. We asked them to go beyond what their comfort zone is, step outside that box. They had been trying to find ways to do it and reach outside and figure out what to do, and now they've stepped outside the box. They've got funding for the parks. We're doing drought tolerant landscaping. We're removing the turf. Right now they're kind of brown because we're in a drought here. So they're going to try and make it look appeasing. They've had to do some work on the equipment, so the playground equipment is still.
But the voters have said no more taxes.
Right.
So where do you get more money?
So what we do is we start bringing in revenue. We're continuing to fight to bring in revenue. What we did was go outside of our normal area to get help, grant funding for these programs. When we lost those tax measures, we all of a sudden started getting help from other areas of government. And then all of a sudden they came in.
Crystal Ruiz, we're so glad you stopped by to tell us about what's going on in San Jacinto. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us as well. I'm Leslie Leyton.